Okay. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Our Stars and Stripes and Maple Syrup. Today we have with us the Maple Syrup side of things. We have Justin Warner from Toronto area. Justin, thank you very much for coming back.
No problem at all, Gav. Good to be here.
So you guys might remember Justin came in at the end of an abysmal run of form for us for the 3-0 win against Wigan. Unfortunately, he couldn't repeat those antics and have a win for us today. So Justin, just remind people how you ended up in Toronto, a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I moved over to Canada in 2004 from the Northeast. I was a season ticket holder before I moved over. Moved over with work. Thought we'd give it a couple of years, got the work permit, renewed it a couple of times, liked it so much we bought the T-shirt and the citizenship and been here ever since.
Okay. So Justin is the technology manager, if I remember right, for the NASA. We see the logo in the background.
Communications.
Yes. I know he does the Twitter and shit. I mean, that's it.
Twitter and shit. That's my job title. Yeah.
Okay. So let's just dig into what was an awful game to watch. I don't think I remember us playing that badly in quite a while.
It was a midfield stalemate, wasn't it? Let's be polite.
That's a nice way of putting it. So,
yeah, it was. Sorry, go.
No, go on.
Yeah, I mean, I remember posting the team when it first came up, and I think we were all scratching our heads yet again, trying to work out which square pegs were going in the round holes once more. And I thought we started relatively well, but yeah, there's something lacking at the moment, isn't there?
So for me, and I mean, I sat down after the match, and it was obviously it's Easter Monday, so there's no work. And I'm trying to work out what it is that's changed. Yeah, we're defensively tighter and we're more difficult to break down and beat, but we've lost so much going forward. Now, we've had the conversation of, is it the wingers playing the inverted wingers where it slows the pace of the game down? Is that what's causing it? Is it the three at the back that's causing players to drop too deep? Again, in the win against Shrewsbury, I mentioned a couple of times how Stewart was dropping really deep to come and get the ball, and then he didn't have anybody as an outlet for it. So what do you think? Is the formation a little bit on the negative side, looking after the not losing before going for the win?
I think it's in Alex Neil's nature, isn't it, to set up for the clean sheet if possible. I think it might be part of the factor. It might be we just don't really have the players fit available to us at the moment. It's I mean, you look at the players that we have in defence. The one defender, one left back, and a central midfielder. I mean, in theory, they're passes of the ball, all of them. So you'd expect them to be able to get the ball out of defence relatively well. But
so that was something that irritated me today. And we seem to go back to the long ball, the long aimless,
particularly aimless long ball as well.
I have no problem if you see your winger or Stewart or Broadhead making a run, and you're playing it around the back of the defense, even if from inside your own half. But when it's like 2-3 passes around the middle of the defense, and then it's just hoofed up, I'm like, come on, guys, it's not the 80s anymore. It's not going to work.
Yeah, and I think the problem was that neither Corey Evans or Matete were protecting the ball particularly well, and Matete in the first half especially was really guilty of just passing the ball away a few times, taking too long on the ball, and then being put under pressure and was just passing it away, not doing anything with it, or it being intercepted. And I think your point about Stewart's a valid one. I'm beginning to wonder whether it's not a case of he's being out of position. It's just he's so knackered now that he can't even get into position. Because there are a couple of times in today's game where he was just basically jogging up front as we were attacking. Like Clark was on the wing, and Broadhead raced past Stewart, and Stewart was just dawdling forwards. And I think by the time the move had broken down and had gone back up the other end, he was just turned around and was plodding back from the other direction. And he just seems to be doing that all game at the moment. He just never seems to get into a good position. And today, the few times that he did actually get into a decent position, you can tell his confidence just isn't there at all. It's
Yeah, I mean, he hit the bar last week when normally he would have buried that. I thought there was that one in the first half where he beat the defender and he took the first touch and it was just heavy touch because he just wasn't up to the pace of the game. I think 7-8 weeks ago he would have buried that.
Yeah, agreed.
So the question is I know it's a risky ploy, but do we rest him?
Yeah, I was wondering that myself earlier. I mean, Cambridge coming up, I think it's an opportunity to maybe put him on the bench and bring him on sort of second half, maybe.
I looked at our games, and yeah, we got Cambridge and we got Morecambe to play. They should be 6 points in the bank.
Yep.
So if we can rest him for those two games, play Broadhead up front, maybe with Embleton in a more advanced role, or if Pritchard is back and healthy, have Pritchard in, leave Evans at home. And I think we might be okay. But I definitely agree that he needs a rest.
Yep.
I think he's made more appearances for us this season than any other player.
Yeah, he just looks worn out basically. So, and it's obviously a risk with Broadhead himself. Having only just come back from injury, sort of, do you want to thrust that level of workload on him? He seemed to do all right today. He was chasing. Basically, he was the one who was doing all the running and chasing down on Stewart's behalf when their defence did have the ball. And yeah, sort of playing him up front with maybe Pritchard and Patrick Roberts or somebody like that, or Neil or Hamilton sort of playing.
Yeah, I think Roberts is more naturally a central striker. I think that's where he started his career. But just looking at the Stewart stats, he's played 43 games already this season.
Yeah.
I mean, he's second highest league score at the moment, and he hasn't scored in 8 games. So, look, I know playing him against a Cambridge or a Morecambe would be good for his confidence, and maybe allowed him to bang a couple in. But I think we rest him. I think we have more than enough in that squad without him to be able to beat Morecambe and Cambridge, which is all we need to do now for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Agreed. But it is a bit worrying, and again, I think it's the formation as opposed to the player. I think that he finds himself coming deep for the ball because I don't want to be cruel to Evans. I really don't. But I just feel that Evans doesn't know how to pass the ball forward. He can't spot a pass. He can't spot a run. And he tends to do this crab-like sideways and backwards passing.
Yeah, and to be fair, I didn't think Corey Evans had his worst game today. I thought Matete was, as I said earlier, was poor in the first half. Picked it up a little bit in the second, but he certainly hasn't reached the same heights as he was before he was bizarrely dropped from the team. Yeah. And really, Evans and Matete were there to basically break up the Plymouth attack in front of the three, which evidently they did. Plymouth had even less shots on goal than we did. So it worked to some extent, but the Ross Stewart conundrum is one that I think we need to solve if we want to go deep into the playoffs. That's for sure. Because at the moment he looks neither use nor ornament, to be honest.
I mean, look, in a game of what was it, 4th versus 7th, in the beginning of the play.
Yep.
So most of 3 shots on target in total.
Yeah.
It's a bit shit.
It wasn't one for the purists.
No, it definitely wasn't. And had it not been a Sunderland game, likelihood is I would have turned it off and come down and worked. All right, so we understand that A, the formation doesn't work brilliantly for Stewart.
Yep.
B, he's out of form and he's tired.
Yep.
But when I looked at that midfield, when you sent out the team sheet, I agree. I didn't have a clue what we were doing.
No.
And listening to or reading comments on the chat and listening to the commentator in the build-up, it looked as though O'Nien was warming up as a central defender, which obviously he played last season when we had our injury crisis there.
Yep.
But seemed to spend most of the game wide left.
Yeah, he started off left wing back and then seemed to move towards the right hand side, didn't he? When Gooch came on, I think he swapped with Gooch. But yeah, it was. I know he's a man of the Swiss. He's the Swiss Army penknife of Sunderland players, but left wing back is probably, apart from goalkeeper, probably his least favoured position, I'd imagine.
I don't know. I reckon he's probably a better goalkeeper than he is left wing back.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, look, this back three of Serkin, Wright, and Winchester. I don't like it. I'm not even going to hide the fact that it's effective.
No,
I just dislike it.
It's effective, but it looks like we'll let a goal in at any moment. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Plymouth didn't muster much in the way of shots, but we looked under pressure at times, particularly towards the back end of the second half. Every time that they got into our half, we looked panicky, like we didn't really know what to do with ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, it was calling for a Aidan McGeady type of player who could spot a run, make a pass.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have to have a huge amount of pace because it's all in his head. And for me, if you're going to play with five in the middle, you can't play three defensive midfield players.
Yeah, agreed.
Right. Because it's just saying, look, we don't fancy it today. And even though we bossed possession and we're never really in danger of losing the game, at no point did I think we were going to score.
No. I think, to be fair, Clark's answered our questions of the last couple of weeks as to why he's being played as an inverted winger, because he's not a very good winger either. So,
you know what? He's a strange one. I was reading an article from Leeds fans, and Leeds were a little bit miffed when he left them and went to Tottenham.
Yeah.
And then obviously he's had a couple of loans and now he's with us. And he looks every bit a League One player.
Yeah.
He's nothing special. He doesn't have lightning quick pace. He's not a brilliant crosser of the ball. When he cuts in, he tends to lose his focus. Like, I'm sure the potential's there. That's why Tottenham spent 10 million on him. But right now, I wouldn't take him on loan for a second season.
Poor man's Lyndon Gooch, I'd say. I mean, he's apt to running down a blind alley. He's not a very good crosser of the ball, either attacking down the right or cutting back on the left. He's lightweight, gets knocked off the ball very, very easily. And given that I guess he was supposed to be playing as a right wing back, didn't really offer very much protection to the defence. So yeah, that was a little bit of a puzzler. It'll be interesting to see when or if we get players back, what if that changes the formation. I mean, I don't really mind the three at the back. I do mind the players that we have playing at the back. Doyle is supposedly ill at the moment. Nobody's actually said what's wrong with him, so hopefully it's not a long-term absence.
No, I think they said it was a virus.
Okay, what sort of virus though is the question? But yeah, I mean, hopefully
going out in Sunderland, it could be anything.
Yeah, exactly. You'd imagine he would slot in quite nicely at the left side of the three, which would free Serkin up to play at the wing back if that's what we're going for. Hume didn't even make the bench, I don't think. Oh no, he did make the bench today. He did make the bench today, but yeah, I don't know what he's done to upset Alex Neil. But
the weird thing is okay, look, I can understand wanting to keep a settled team, but you had Jumanji and Bath on the bench.
Yeah.
Now I think that Serkin would be a more effective wing back than either O'Nien or Clark on the left.
Right. Yep.
I think Gooch on the right because he can come back and defend.
Yep.
And then that frees you up to having two defensive midfield players in O'Nien and Matete, or Matete as he was being called today, and then Embleton who can get forward and support the strikers. That makes a lot more sense from a flow, from a natural position.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's got a dice with players' names on. It's like, who's going to play striker? Oh, it's Burge.
Yeah. And I think that the plus point of having people playing in a more natural position. So if you had, let's say Doyle, Jumanji, and Wright playing across the back as a three, you actually have three defenders. The question then becomes, do you really need two defending midfielders to screen in front of that? And the answer is probably not. You could get away with probably one, and then have somebody who's plays more essentially sort of box to box.
So then if you've got your three centre backs, then look at bringing O'Nien off, have Mateta sitting in front of the defence, and then Embleton and Dan Neil maybe.
That would work for me, yeah.
Neil can come back and support. He's shown he's more than adept at that, but also he likes to get forward.
Yep.
Now, if Alex Neil is watching, Justin and I are available to consultation. Inbox me, follow me on Twitter, on anywhere. Just ask me, we'll help.
Yeah.
All right, so let's hit what is the my weekly rant. And that is Corey Evans.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, where do we start? I watched him today, and he didn't have his worst game today. I'll give him that. But he just feels like so much of a liability to have in the team. His passing isn't great. He's got no pace. He's a turning circle of Steve Bruce. He can't spot a pass. He can't spot a run. I mean, his shot in the first half was more likely to damage the pigeons than the back of the net. I'm struggling. And I know we've all joked about how he must have something on Alex Neil, but what is it that Neil sees in him that gets him picked every week?
Yeah, it's a mystery to me. As you say, he doesn't, of the many boxes that there are to tick as a defensive midfielder, he doesn't seem to really tick any of them. So, I'm a bit bemused on that one as well. I mean, and it's not as if we're not blessed with lots of central midfielders, because God knows it was one of the few positions that Lee Johnson bought more than adequate cover in. So we have central midfielders in spades. So I honestly don't know what.
Okay, so look, I know it's probably, if you were to watch or listen to all the podcasts in a row, it probably sounds like a bit of a vendetta against the guy, but I just don't understand it. I really just don't see it. And the Blackburn fans loved him. They're disappointed he didn't re-sign with them. So,
yeah, perhaps when we get promoted, perhaps he'll be.
Maybe he's a championship player.
Perhaps he's a championship player. Yeah, I don't know, maybe, but
he's a Rolls Royce on cobbled streets.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's stop looking back at the game. Again, it's not a great game to talk about, and let's take a look at what a nail biter the season's coming down to be.
Yeah.
So obviously tomorrow night we've got Oxford are playing the MK Dons.
Yep.
A win for MK Dons, and that's Oxford's season's done. So they're still clinging on by the skin of their teeth. And then Sheffield have got already relegated Crew, which you'd expect them to win that one quite comfortably.
Yep.
So I think that'll be MK Dons and Sheffield wins. I don't see Oxford being able to hold that one. So there's one less thing to worry about.
Yep.
But Saturday is a huge game. You got MK Dons are at home to Morecambe. That's not really worrying us, because I fancy MK Dons, I think, to be finished second. Rotherham are at home to Oxford. Now, obviously, if Oxford have already lost to MK Dons, their season's over. Will they dial it in? But I think they'll try to finish the season strong. I fancy that one might end up as a draw.
Yeah.
Which is why I think that MK Dons will finish second. We've got an easy looking on paper Cambridge game, but Cambridge turned over Wigan at the DW last week, so that could be a tricky one.
Yep.
And then you got Wigan at home to Plymouth and Wickham at home to Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah,
interesting games. It'll be interesting to see Well, I'd be interested to see how Plymouth do at Wigan and whether they suffer because their central midfielder Kamara went off injured today with what looked like a hamstring injury, and he looked like their best player, to be honest.
He also looked really upset as he came off, and looked as though he knew his season was done.
Yeah, agreed. So that might be a tough one for them to recover from. So you'd fancy Wigan to pick up the win there. Certainly don't really see them losing.
No, and if results go their way, then they could be champions on Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll definitely go up automatic. That's not a doubt. I don't think anyone's doubting that one. So yeah, I think Wigan beat Plymouth at home. But that Wycombe Sheffield Wednesday game, that's an interesting game.
So no, Wycombe are 5th, aren't they? And Sheffield is 7th. So Sheffield have got games in hand as well, though, haven't they? So I guess
they got Fleetwood the same day we play Rotherham, and then they've got their Crew game tomorrow.
Yeah, you would kind of say that sort of either Sheffield Wednesday win or a draw would be a decent result for us, I guess.
Yeah. So Plymouth have got, they've got, as I said, they've got Wigan on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then they are at home to MK Dons the following Saturday.
Yeah.
Which, when it came to writing the fixtures out, I can't imagine a worse two teams to be playing as your last two games.
Yeah.
I don't think Plymouth are going to get anything else this season.
Yeah, that's a fair shout.
So, I mean, their form's been spotty. So you say they lose to Wigan and to MK Dons, that means they finished their season on 79.
Yeah.
Which effectively means they'll finish 7th. And it's easy street for the rest of us.
Yeah, so where do you reckon we're going to finish then? You reckon? I think you said you had us at 5th.
Yeah, so I've got us beating Cambridge on Saturday.
Yeah.
Drawing at home to Rotherham, and then finishing off the season at Morecambe with a win as well. So I've got us 7 points from the last 3 games.
Okay.
Which will let us finish the season with 84, and that'll put us in 5th. Now, if we're 5th, are we home first leg of the playoffs against Sheffield Wednesday or away?
We would be away first, I think.
Okay, so that would be the preference. Bring them back to the Stadium Light.
Oh, no, it's not. No, sorry. No, it's who do we play? So it's first 2 go up automatically. It's 3rd place 6th.
Yeah, 3rd place 6th.
4th place 5th. So if we finish 5th, then we would be the lowest seed. So we would be at home first and then away.
And then stuff them at home, and then the away tie doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly. 6 in luck already. It's easy streets.
But I think Rotherham or Wycombe in the final will be a tough game.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see how we do in the remaining game against Rotherham, because we stank the place out when we played them before. Wycombe, we've not played particularly well against in either game against them. So, yeah. I wouldn't be how much we owe Sheffield Wednesday as well, don't we? So yeah, it'll be there's no easy games in the playoffs, so we need to be coming into it with some form. It would be nice to go with three wins. Like you say, Cambridge and Morecambe, we should be looking at 4 points from. Would take probably would take a draw against Rotherham, but it would be nice to get the win. But I think it's more important to have a good performance and be going into the playoffs on a decent run of form. Because even though I think we might even be top or at least very close to the top of the form charts at the moment, you'd be hard pushed to say that we're playing well. We're getting the results, but we're not really playing particularly well.
Let's be honest, the last 4 games we've got 10 points and we've stunk.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking obviously before and during the Shrewsbury game on Friday, but we'd probably take 4 points off the weekend, of the long weekend. but had kind of figured that it was going to probably be a win at Shrewsbury and a win at Plymouth. And for the longest time on Friday, it looked like we were going to have to pick up a win in Plymouth because, we were struggling to break down a very, very ordinary looking Shrewsbury side.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I'm glad we got that late goal against Shrewsbury because I think we'd be out of the playoffs if it didn't.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Because we'd be sitting on, we're on 77 now, so we'd be on 75 points.
Yeah.
That would mean we would need, I don't think so. Let me rephrase that because I'm saying we're going to finish the season with 84. But I think Plymouth are just going to run just out of steam with two top teams to play. But it makes for an interesting end of the season. As I was saying with Stephen last week on Friday, don't remember the last time we had a good think about when the last time we had nothing to play for at this point of the season.
It's been a very long time, yeah.
So we went back to Mick Buxton. Because under Peter Reid, we were pushing for 6th place in European football. Under Steve Bruce, he got a couple of wins at the end of the season that made it look a lot more respectable than it was.
Yep.
Other than that, it's been relegation fights.
Yeah, sure enough.
With a couple of promotions thrown in for good measure. So, I don't want to keep you forever. I know we've been chattering around, and it was a terrible game. So let's jump on to your predictions for Saturday's game. Well, Saturday, I feel just to remind you, is Cambridge at home.
Yeah, so I'm going to go full ball and reckon we're going to pick up a big win. I reckon 3-0.
Cool. Okay. Cole haven't got the odds for Saturday's games yet, so we'll post those a little bit later. Do you want to give me first goal scorer and we'll chuck it in as a combo?
Let's go Broadhead.
I'm going to be miserable and go with a 1-0 win.
Oh.
And I'm going to say that Gooch is the scorer.
Oof.
Let me just write that down so that I can update that on my my betting slip for Saturday. Well, Justin, it was nice having you on. I'm sorry the game sucked and it was a tough one to talk about. Are there any highlights in the game we've missed that you want to mention?
I think we have to call out Carl Winchester for his cheeky drag back on the goal line and then passing the ball across the front of the goal to the left back. It was in the first half. If I didn't already have heart problems, I certainly did after that one, because there's anybody who's played football, anybody who's coached football would tell you never pass the ball across your own goal. And I think Patterson was so surprised that he did it that he didn't even move for the ball. So yeah, that was a nervous moment, to say the least. I think
that must have been the moment that I had to let the dogs in, because I don't remember that.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
but obviously I'm on blood pressure medication these days, so I'm just as well I didn't see that one.
Yeah, he was being closed down sort of on the edge of the penalty area, and sort of did almost a Cruyff turn and left the guy, and but he had no out ball, so he just basically passed the ball hard across the goal to either Cirkin or 09 on the far side. It was just kind of, what the hell are you doing? But hey, we got away with it. But yeah, it was, as you say, far from a classic today, and let's hope for a bit of a rest for the guys. They get a bit of time to unwind and take it easy. And
yeah, let's give them Tuesday, Wednesday off, and then they can be ready for Saturday. I'd like to say it should be an easier game, but as I said, Cambridge turned over Wigan in their own house, so nothing's easy as we found in this division. So on Saturday, we have Jody Linskill is joining us. If I remember right, Jody's the kit guy, the merchandise dude? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
You're very much thinking of somebody else.
Okay.
Chris Forden's the kit guy. Jody's just the lanky guy who buys a lot of stuff.
Jody's the guy who walked into his own garage door.
Yes.
I saw that on his Facebook. I'll have to mention that one. So we got Jody
Congratulations.
coming on Saturday.
Nice.
Dude, thank you very much for joining us for a second time this season.
It's been a pleasure, mate. Take care of yourself.
If we have a playoff run and we get into the final, maybe we'll do multiple people for the after playoff victory. We'll say victory for now.
All right.
Well, other than that, guys, thank you very much for watching again this week. This has been another episode of our Stars and Stripe and Maple Syrup. We'll be back again on next week, Sunday, Monday, depending on how much stuff my wife has me do. Until then, catch you later, guys.